people, I'm Madison. Welcome to my internet space. It's been a long time since I did anything on this account, to be honest. And that's partly due to my living arrangement that I was past. I'm apart now. But that's partially due to the environment I was in and how I was feeling, where I wanted to go, how I wanted to even navigate this account. But my goodness, has it been one hell of a year. So let's start off with the actual purpose of today's video, and that is I am pregnant. Coming to the end of that pregnancy, actually. And honestly, the main topic of today's video is my experience with being pregnant. Not necessarily sitting here and like giving you like the 10 symptoms that nobody tells you about, blah 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 blah. I will start off with the symptoms that I did have, and the first one that was like super noticeable to me, the whole reason why I even took a pregnancy test to begin with, is because my gums were bleeding really bad, like without brushing my teeth. I have had some pretty terrible oral hygiene, so it's not uncommon for my teeth to bleed when I brush my teeth, but they were like bleeding on their own, which I had never experienced before. And I was living with my mom, so that's a whole caveat, but I tell my mom, with like, my gums are bleeding, it's so weird, and she's like, when I was pregnant with you, my gums bled and you should take a test. So I took a test and it came back positive, and I was extremely shocked and overwhelmed. The second symptom was boob pain. Like, I have never experienced that level of sensitivity in my breasts ever. They would just hurt when I was just standing there. And don't get me wrong, I've had like sensitive breasts, like when it comes to periods sometimes and that kind of stuff, but not like this. And I've had very sensitive nipples as well, like just randomly out of nowhere burning because they're being touched, which I kind of always had a little bit of that, but it was way more intense with the pregnancy. My third symptom, which was very like the minimalist, the smallest portion of my pregnancy, was nausea. I got that a little bit, a tiny bit. I threw up twice, but it wasn't actual like food. So if I drank water first thing in the morning in the first trimester, I would throw up. I was so thirsty and all I wanted to do was drink water the moment I woke up. But if I did drink the water, I would throw up. It happened 2 days in a row, and I was like, okay, whatever. And I would eat like a piece of bread or an apple or something like that, and then I would be able to drink water as much as I want and wouldn't throw up at all. But I did have a little bit of nausea, and the only thing for me that helped was pickles. People suggested ginger. They gave me nausea, like over-the-counter medication, all of that. None of that worked. The only thing that worked was pickles. So I was eating like 3 to 5 pickles a day in the first trimester, which is a lot of sodium, but hey, it is what it is. The only other consistent symptom has been back pain, like lower back pain. I can't stand, walk around, like exist for like on my feet for long periods of time without my back just being excruciating pain, which to a certain extent is normal as long as it's not like partnered up with a bunch of other symptoms and you're kind of like, yeah, for the most part that's normal. It was nothing that stressed me out. I just took it easy. The biggest issue, like the worst part of my pregnancy, has been or was like the emotional side of pregnancy. I personally wasn't experiencing crying on the couch every day because I didn't get a bagel or whatever. Like, I didn't have any like intense cravings like that. I also didn't really have very many like rage feelings towards my partner
or any of the people that were around me.
I do enjoy spicy noodles way more than I ever have in my life, but it's not like, I need these noodles so bad. It's just like, yummy, I like spicy noodles. Yum, yum, yum. And it wasn't even like I went out of my way to go find the noodles. Like, my sibling gave me some noodles and I tried it and it was so good. And I don't know if that has anything to do with the pregnancy or if it's just me having a higher tolerance for spicy noodles as an adult. The biggest thing was like this impending doom feeling, because when I found out I was pregnant, I was actually in the works of getting on birth control or figuring out like what birth control method I wanted to use to prevent me from having children ever. And it wasn't because I didn't want kids. It was because how 2025 was going for me in my personal life. So in 2024, at the end in December, me and my partner decided that we were going to try to move out of state, which failed because the living situation was not a healthy one, and we honestly just wanted to go home. Like, that's how we felt. Like, we wanted to go on this adventure. We wanted to try to live in the mountains, but it just ended up being way more of a hassle than we were prepared for. So we ended up moving back home, but because our living situation was so dire, we ended up moving in with my mom, who was living with her mom, my grandmother. We weren't in a place where I was comfortable having a baby. Our entire relationship, we had been fairly financially stable. I mean, we didn't have like a bunch of money, but like we were able to live within our means without saving money, because we had a tendency to splurge.
We didn't have any debts, and we were able to live very comfortably on his income.
We didn't have any obligations. So about 2 years in, I would say, is whenever we started to try to have a baby, and it wasn't working out for us. And so we had hit our 5-year like anniversary together place, or we were approaching that, and I was like, okay, well, I don't even know if I want to have kids right now due to what's going on in America, due to the political climate, the economic state of the world, all of those types of things. And so I was like, okay, at this point, it would make the most sense to prevent having a baby until or if we get to a place where we could properly take care of them.
I'm not sitting here saying that I can't take care of my baby now. I'm just saying I wanted to set him up in the most idyllic situation before attempting to try to have a child intentionally.
And me and my partner had just gotten married, so when we moved back from Montana, because that's where we were trying to go, we got married because we had discussed our entire relationship on our 5th year of being together that we would get married. And so we decided to get married on our 5th year anniversary. So a lot was happening at that point in time when I found out that I was pregnant, because it was only 2 months later that I found out that I was carrying a baby. I was shocked, like absolutely shaking, couldn't believe that it was a positive test. I'd taken so many tests and they'd all had said negative for years, but I was amazed. I was absolutely astonished and oddly excited and concerned. And then all of a sudden, I had this impending doom feeling that just riddled my entire body. I didn't know what to do. And I'm somebody that has always said that if I ended up pregnant, that I wasn't going to have an abortion. Not because I'm not pro-choice, like I'm absolutely pro-choice. Do whatever you need to do for yourself. But I personally didn't want to go through that. So I was kind of, and this is all in my head, I didn't verbalize this to anybody. I was like weighing out my options of like, am I going to keep this baby or am I going to find this baby a new home? But it didn't make sense for me to find this baby a new home in my brain, because it wasn't going to change the state of the world. It wasn't going to change anything about the impending doom feeling. because I started thinking, like, what if my kid's gay? What if they're trans? What if? And in no way, shape, or form was I afraid that I was going to be a bad mom. Like, that wasn't where my brain was at. It was, how is the world going to impact my child? Does the world deserve my child? And I sat in this and would cry and panic and have full-blown meltdowns sometimes, and then I would go into like this numb purgatory state. So I've spent most of my pregnancy almost in a dissociative state because I wasn't able to come to a positive conclusion around my baby's existence inside of the world.
And I was struggling with this idea of, is this ethical, right, or is this just a selfish thing to do to bring another human being into the world?
Plus, my living situation wasn't great. Keep in mind, I'm living with my mom. The house that we were living in, not of quality. My grandmother really neglected, my grandmother and my grandfather, before he died, really neglected this space. The carpets were thrashed. The ventilation system in the house, horrible. It didn't have very good heating or cooling. Everybody smoked in the house. Not me. Me and my partner don't smoke cigarettes, but they were all smoking in the house. And I was not sure at what point we would be able to leave, and I didn't want to have a baby there. It wasn't until late into my second trimester, probably around like the 20-week to 25-week mark, that I got washed with this feeling of everything's gonna be okay. Like, it'll all be fine, because you will make sure that your baby has a safe place regardless of whether or not the world is safe. Because my biggest thing is I did not want to, and I do not want to, raise my baby from a place of fear. I want them to feel secure in the world. I want them to feel secure in themselves. I don't want to give this baby the riddling anxiety that I was gifted as a small child because my mom raised me from a place of fear. And there's a lot more to this place of fear that I was living in, because my family is full of predators. There was a lot of red flags and alarming situations that I was being put in. And so when me and my partner finally put in a plan to get a place, which we have, yes, it is at the end of the pregnancy, and I feel like I could have this baby any day now. I mean, technically he should stay in there for another like month, a little bit less than a month. We did it. We got ourselves a safe place. It's clean, a good environment that has enough space for him to grow, and we won't need to move around a bunch until we do have enough money, if we ever have enough money, to purchase a home. But I allowed myself to have the good feelings around the pregnancy because I have always wanted to be a mom. I've always wanted to be a parent. I always thought that I would be a good parent. I have good values, strong morals that aren't based in rhetoric. I'm a fairly educated person. I'm smart, but I'm not like the smartest person in the room, you know what I mean? Like, but I am able to have conversations and patience and love for children. I've always been able to do that. Children flock to me. I've always had a good relationship with other people's kids, and so I've always wanted to have my own. I always thought I was going to be the kind of person that was going to have like 6 babies. But when I found out that I was pregnant with this baby, I really came to the conclusion that I only wanted the one, because I want to be able to focus and pour my time and energy and love into this one person. And me and my partner talked about it. It's like, what if this kid has a disability? We don't want to have another kid just for that kid to have to take care of the first one. And if this baby's healthy, who's to say that the next baby isn't going to be disabled to some extent and needs support and care, and then the first baby's neglected? We want to be able to provide a loving, healthy, joyful, peaceful, grounded environment for our child, and it makes the most sense for us and our family to only have the one, which I'm grateful that we came to that conclusion, because it just means that I get to really learn, focus, and appreciate the one offspring that I do have. Plus, if we ever want to have more kids, we're pretty young. I'm 25, he's 30, so once this baby's grown, he's gonna be 50, I'm gonna be 45. That's like 20 years from now. And if we want to foster kids, we can. It's not the end of the world. I don't want to add more to the world than necessary than I have to, because I was already coming to the conclusion that if I wanted to have kids, I could literally go get one from the foster system.
I understand that the kid wouldn't be my kid in that situation, and that I would be helping another family stay a unit for the most part, because that is the goal.
So, that being said, very appreciative of how the place that I chose to give birth to my child and to have all of these prenatal cares and all of that kind of stuff. Because my mom, whenever she was wanting to be sterilized, um, she had 2 kids and they were like trying to convince her not to, and it was a whole thing. And so many people were like telling me that's what I was going to experience, and that they weren't going to let me, and it was a whole thing. But no, they like just handed me my form, so like, this is your choice. Some places they make it out like it's not your choice and that you shouldn't be allowed to do this, but it really is your body. And like, it was a very lovely and beautiful experience to be able to communicate what I wanted, and it like me not have to fight and give an arm and a leg and every reason and get my husband's signature. With that being said, I have never been in my life more excited. And that's my own personal trauma coming out for whatever reason. Adding to the impending doom, there was a period where I was like, my baby's gonna die, my baby's gonna die, my baby's gonna die. They didn't die. They're not going to die. They're very healthy. Every time I go to the hospital, they tell me how well he's doing, how it's been a very easy and beautiful pregnancy despite the outside world and what's going on. And it's provided me with the sense of security and safety to have this anticipation, to have this excitement where I'm like, I can't wait to hold my baby. Like, I cannot wait to hold my baby. It's going to be the most beautiful thing. All this to say, like, climate isn't the end of the world, because it's not the end of the world, not yet at least. And you're not a bad person for wanting to have hope enough to give a baby the opportunity to experience the beautiful things in life. Because despite there being so much bad going on, like, it's insane what's going on with ICE and the Trump administration. It's actually super scary.
And this is just a small scale, just in America, not the world as a whole. And we consider things like Palestine and so on and so on and so on, and all of the bad things.
before I die, before he dies. And that's what I'm doing, is I'm making a little future inside my belly, and it's amazing. Anyway, that's it. That's the video. Thanks so much for watching. If you have something to say, comment. I would really love to hear your guys' experiences, your guys' takes, with peace and love. With peace and love. Anyway, bye guys.